Black History Month and what we need to know. So, hi, my name's Ellie, and Norfolk College. In 1995, the Canadian government said that the month of February would be Black History Month. The reason we are here today is because during elementary school, my sister Kalani, Kiki, who you guys probably know, began feeling sad and frustrated when she kept hearing the N-word being used at school. She tried her best to explain to her classmates why it hurt for her to hear that word, but it didn't seem to help. After speaking with her mom, our mom, and her teacher, Mrs. Parker, she began to understand that not all kids who use the N-word actually knew what it really meant. Kiki also learned that when someone says a negative word without knowing what it means, it is called ignorance. And ignorance means the lack of knowing or lack of education. It doesn't mean that someone is stupid or dumb or mean. It just means that they just don't know what something really means. So with the help of her teacher and librarian and some other students, she began a project to help educate the students at her school, not only about the N-word, but also Black history. Because once someone really understands Black history, then they can never again use the N-word and say they don't understand that it comes from slavery, a dark and ugly place where Black people were owned and treated as if they were not human. Once someone understands Black history, no matter how many comedians or rappers you hear using that word, no one will never again be able to use it without knowing what it really means, and ignorance can no longer be used as an excuse. We hope that next year some of you will help Kiki to continue this tradition and help educating all students about racial slurs, no matter what the person's race is, because everyone deserves to feel safe and equal and respected.
History of slavery. Slavery first began around 1619. African people were captured and taken away from their homes, chained to wooden planks of boats for months while they traveled to the USA. Then they were sold mostly to white farm and plantation owners. Slaves were made to do anything their masters wanted. They had no rights. They couldn't even learn to read or write. This is the time when most people started to use the N-word. If slaves didn't listen to their masters, the masters would usually kill them because they would lose money. Masters were allowed to punish slaves any way they wanted. Sometimes they would whip them, like the man in the slide photo. Other times they would punish them by selling their wives or children to other slave masters and break up families.
Segregation. This was something that the civil rights movement fought against. Segregation meant that depending on the color of your skin, you were not allowed into certain places, like bathrooms, pools, schools, and restaurants. If you look closely at the picture, you will see that at one time, Black people even had to drink from separate water fountains. Signs were posted. Some signs told you weren't allowed to go there by the weight of your skin color. Others just said whites only. The N-word is a phrase we use because most people won't say the full word. This is one of the most offensive words in the English language. When it is used as a noun, it means a contemptuous term used to refer to a Black person or any other person who has a darker skin tone. Historically, it came from the word Negro, which later, during slavery, became a much more hurtful and degrading form, and meant that you were less than human.
A lynching was an unlawful murder by an angry mob of people, usually by hanging. This happened a lot, even after slaves were free. Many innocent men and women and children were killed just for being Black. Sometimes, if a Black child did something that people didn't like or thought was inappropriate, the mob of people would make the parents watch as they killed the child, and then they would also kill the parents. Oprah Winfrey once said while speaking to rapper Jay-Z about the use of the N-word that she found it difficult to detach the N-word from its history of brutality. When I hear the N-word, I still think about every Black man who was lynched, and the N-word was the last thing he heard, she explained.
I feel that way because my generation and generations before me obviously especially coming up through the civil rights movement, and I am where I am because there was a generation before me that fought for civil rights, and that word carries such a sense of hatred and degradation. And I always think about, when I hear the word, even when I'm at the concert and people are, screaming it at your concert, I think about black men who were lynched, and that's the last word they heard. And so that comes from my generation.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was a famous American civil rights leader and activist. He wanted to end racism and promoted equal rights for everyone. MLK used his words to create a powerful message of peaceful, non-violent protest against racism and segregation. To me, MLK is a hero and a role model for everyone. He changed people's lives forever and was very brave. Even after he was murdered, his wife and family still tried to spread his message of peace, love, and acceptance for everyone. In 1997, when my big sister Olivia was in elementary school, MLK's wife, Coretta Scott King, came to Edmonton during Black History Month. There was a big concert, and Olivia was one of the children chosen to sing for Mrs. King. My mom and Olivia met her before the concert and said she was a quiet woman with a very powerful presence. My sister has always felt honored to have met her and sung for her.
On August 28, 1963, MLK delivered a now famous speech called I Have a Dream. On 2000s of civil rights marchers gathered around the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. In the beginning of the speech, Martin Luther King mentioned a proclamation which fed millions of slaves in 1863 and said that 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. Toward the end of the speech, MLK stopped reading from the words he had written on the piece of paper to begin speaking from his heart. This was the I Have a Dream speech. We will now play some.
One day, this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it.
So this symbol ends our slideshow. To us, it represents freedom for all people, no matter what race, color, gender, or religion. We will now play a short series of video clips. Thanks for listening, and please let us know if you have any questions when you're finished.
I'm Marcy Miller, and I'm a realtor in Vancouver, BC.
Hi, I'm Ginjera.
And I'm Jordan.
Hi guys, my name is Olivia Ryan Stern, an actress on CW's Riverdale.
I'm Dylan Ainsworth, number 99 for the BC Lions.
I have experienced quite a bit of racism and bullying my whole life. It started in elementary school where the kids would call me the N-word at recess time or lunchtime because the teachers weren't around, so the teachers couldn't hear what they were saying.
And we just wanted to say thank you to Alana Stern for her courage in spreading the message of love and equality. And we are creating this video to create awareness for LEO misconduct on racism and bullying.
And when they would call me that, it would make me feel really sad and discouraged. And then they would tell me that my skin was dirty and I was dirty. And I didn't really make a lot of friends. I felt like there really was something wrong with me. and it really put me in a big state of depression.
You're an inspiration to people of all races, ages, and genders. Your words are powerful, and your message is an example we hope to be followed by many.
It's never okay to bully someone based on race or religion.
And the bullying continued even as an adult. I get called the N-word at the parking lot at Superstore, in clothing stores, or even just walking down the street, listening to music and minding my own business. It's still there, and it still affects me to this day. And I've dealt with it, and I'm dealing with it, but I know it's really hard for a lot of people.
Spread love, not hate. Racial slurs are wrong, and words have power.
Racial slurs of any kind are wrong.
We want to help encourage people to please use them carefully.
Words have power. Please use them carefully.
Remember
And remember,
Hashtag
hashtag
that ignorance
ignorance
isn't bliss.
isn't bliss.
Isn't bliss.
Peace and love, guys.
Hashtag ignorance isn't bliss.
And, yeah, that's the end of our